Hello, hello. It's Pavla here from Infinite Vitality, and this beautiful Friday morning, I've got the honor to speak to my dear friend Luke. Welcome, welcome in our beautiful space. Now, Luke and I'll do a little intro here. We have been friends for a while. We've known each other for a number of years, and it hasn't been until later we actually got to work together as well, which has been a really beautiful experience. And that's the reason why I invited you to join me for this little chat here and to kind of share your story a little bit and to share where you came from and where you are heading now after shifting some key pieces in your world. So welcome, my love, more than anything. It's such an honor and privilege to have you here. Would you like to just jump in and say a little bit about who Luke is and where you were probably before you chose to step into this healing room and and go a little bit deeper to what you were doing before already?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I've been fortunate enough to know Pavel for some time now, and I think about a year ago, I think it was, we were going through some interesting times in my life through a relationship breakup, which was quite stressful. So feelings of anxiety were creeping into me at the time. A little bit of depression, I guess, was present also, and I was just struggling to get my head above water, just to take that breath. It felt like everything was overwhelming, and life was definitely not in the best of places, comparably to what it had been previous, and in particular now, which is 180 from, I guess, where I was at the time. And yeah, it was very tough. So I was looking for things, grasping for things. I have a spiritual side to me as well. Um, I guess I love my personal fitness, good health, healthy practices attached to that. But at this time, I was struggling and I felt like I needed something different. And energy at the time for me was struggling. The energy wasn't in a great place, and hence the slight anxious sort of feelings that I was getting. So I reached out to you, which
Mhm.
was fantastic. I was lucky enough for you to get back to me swiftly and make time for me come down, and yeah, just sort of open myself up in that space and be welcomed into that space,
Hmm.
which was really good for me. Yeah, it's what I needed at the time, yeah, most definitely. So yeah,
Yeah,
there's been a way. Mm.
beautiful. It's one thing that was always so wonderful to watch while working together with you, was how receptive you were to energy and how in tuned with your body and with your emotions, but also the mind you always were. So you are instantly receiving, which was really amazing. What I see out in the world doing this work for a number of years now is for men finding it a little bit harder to understand and maybe connect to this type of work, to energy work. Um, and they need to understand on a mental level first to have maybe a little bit of a, I don't know, what's the right word? Scientific background or evidence, having facts. That's what I want, having facts so they can kind of be a bit more open. What would you to the men that are watching? What I've got here, the logical explanations. Would there be a way you could describe our work from men's point of view that could resonate and land? Like obviously you mentioned the relationship breakup, anxiety, being under a lot of pressure. which we all go through life at some point. But what would be that, okay, Pavla can come and help. This type of work can be very
Mm.
helpful and beneficial, understanding what you know now. I hope I make sense with what I'm asking.
No, you do most definitely. Yeah, and I think that it's a big hurdle for men to take. I think there's men are very mainstream. Men are very, I guess, group orientated individuals. At least the majority of these people,
Mm,
and I think they're influenced by the crowd. And I think for me, I've sort of walked my own path, and for me, I'm very comfortable with who I am and what the opinions are of me outside of myself. So I think that's a big step for any man, to take, because it's not a mainstream sort of practice that somebody would go to. Men aren't going to necessarily gravitate to that kind of healing, or that be obvious to them, and there probably is a little bit of stigma attached to it, but unnecessary, I believe. Um, it's about what works for me, and this works.
mhm,
Um, and so if I could put that message out to men, and I have, since our consultation, I've told other men, and there's a lot of guys interested, but I've lost that stigma that holds them back from actually participating or taking that step forward. Um, just don't be afraid, be yourself, don't worry about other opinions. If I could send a message to men, I would say it's about the reward. It's not about what other people think. It's about the reward at the end of it. But that's a big part of how you approach these sessions. If you don't have that approach, that openness about you, I don't believe the benefits are going to be the same,
mhm,
whether you're there or not. So energies are definitely a very powerful thing if you're open to it, and you need to be.
mm. It's like anything in
So
life, yeah. Mm,
yeah, yeah,
mm,
absolutely. And the space is created that you can walk into for that energy to expand.
mm.
Um, Very important as well, which I was fortunate enough to get from you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. And it's always interesting because I believe there is not enough conversations had just yet. That's why I'm doing this with
Yeah.
some of my beautiful clients and friends like you to understand, take the woo-woo aspect away. And this is not some crazy crazy witchy stuff. We actually go into pragmatic parts of life. We actually go into the mind, we go into our beliefs, we deep dive into the emotions, and then we
Yeah.
can energetically disconnect it from all of these layers of that makes us. And I really love that because it's focusing on everything. And if we think of us as a being created from seven layers of energy, but that's a conversation for a different time. Yeah, the shifts that happened for you. We had quite a few sessions when you were in the thick of it just to create momentum and get you on the other side of it. Um, there was also need for you as we were going through it to see some parts of you
Mm.
that you were maybe not consciously aware of, some parts of you
Mhm.
that maybe belong to the parents, to the ancestors that you were carrying and holding on to, some parts of the past that you
Yeah.
also held on to. Would you like to speak to that a little bit? Because one thing we know for sure, it can get quite uncomfortable going through the process. Would you like to speak to
Yeah.
that a little bit?
Yeah. Initially for me, I went in with that mindset of obviously you walk into that room with what you believe to be true, and then that's generally the story that you've created for yourself in life, and you walk in there with that I guess perspective that you're looking at things from. But during our healing, during doing the work, we touched on ancestral healing, things that had taken part in the past, and that may have influenced who I am today. And that was phenomenal. Some of the energy that I was feeling, that I was accessing or given access to, fortunate enough, to be able to during the process, and I could feel myself present and visualize where these things were coming from in the moment when you were talking about them, doing the work on me. And post session, looking back, I guess doing some affirmations and focusing on these things that we did clear, I did feel a big energy shift. And with that energy shift, my day-to-day life, I guess I felt, and still do feel, things that if I elaborated on here, I wouldn't have time to do so. One, but two, would be very hard for me because it's profound, the effect it had on me, and that's just honesty. That's 100%
Mm.
what's happened to me. Where I was 6 months and a year ago, and what I'm experiencing now for myself because of things like those ancestral shifts that we did, that were a part of, I guess, getting to what I am now from that. So very powerful, you know. Um,
Mm. Yeah.
yeah, very good.
Yeah, I feel that. Oh, such a beautiful answer. Thank you. And it always gets me, people come here and they are like, I'm broken and I don't know and I don't want to be here anymore. Like it's intense. And we just all need that reminder what our true light is, yeah. That like who is that individual, beautiful, authentic being that sits in the body, yours, mine, all of us. And we sometimes lose the side of it. And many, for me, it took me 38 years. I was never able before to feel that authentic, beautiful, powerful light that I am now. And I get a bit emotional about it because it's bullshit, right? Like we should, that's that's
Yeah.
that's how we should be welcomed on earth from day one, from our first breath. But obviously,
Mm,
the soul lessons and conditioning of society and where we come from, that was never possible. And so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, for people to remember that the conditioning, the pain, that the things that we bring from our life's journey and our ancestors, it's not who we are until we can fully, truly sit in the space where you are now. And it just makes me so, so, so happy to see in
mm,
that, yeah, this is me. And there's no fucking around. And I know where I'm going and I know what I'm creating and I know who I want with me, And that's
mm,
like this, everything will like
mm,
amplify from there. And it's
that's
really, really beautiful to see that because you jumped in and it's not just my work, like you are committed and you are doing the work every day with different practices and different ways of being you. And
mm,
that's what life is about, I believe.
yeah, yeah. It is, and it has been for me. But it's all a process, It's and if there's a message, I guess, for the guys that are out there, the darker the night, the brighter the light,
Ah,
as
I
far
love
as
it.
I'm concerned.
I love
Yeah,
it.
because that's the way the world works. We all work off past traumas. We've all got past traumas. We've all created stories for ourselves. And we all go through that pain. We're anxious at times. We're depressed at times. But there's ways to move through it.
Mm,
How you help me. For me, that was the reset. That brought me peace. That gave me a breath. I came up for air in that moment for me. And that just gave me an opportunity to think, okay, this is what I'm going to do next. This is what I'm going to do now. And put those processes in place with a clear mind in a dark time that allowed for me to take steps. And yes, it's not immediate for me. It wasn't immediate for me. 6 months on, 8 months on, 10 months on, I'm still building and I feel fantastic. But it's a process. And that allowed me at that time
mm,
to be able to, take a breath, now take the
mm,
steps. Um, so that was great. But yeah, if you are out there and you are in trouble and you are struggling, just remember it's not solved in a day, and there's many practices you can do along with what you're with the work that you're doing, which is fantastic. And if we can do those things together, pieces of the puzzle fall in place. Life will
Mm,
start to show itself to you, and if you felt that dark and you felt that down, just remember that on the other side of that is something profoundly beautiful.
mm,
Um, because now you have the perspective of pain, and the other side of that is the light. And yeah, I've been fortunate enough to been given some
mm.
beautiful things, and I've taken some steps for myself that are working really well at the moment.
That's really beautiful. And one thing as well that I say all the time is we were never meant to do it alone. We were never meant to, and again for me personally, a lot of time I would. And that was never the plan. We were always meant to have our village around. We were always meant to have our support networks. So when things become heavy and dark, then we've got someone to lean on. And I feel this is what these beautiful practices, different modalities, people doing different work can provide for us. So we were never meant to be the warriors that need to stand strong and brave it alone. So I think it's really important. And maybe for many people, it's a question of pride and ego as well. Love you, men. And many women too. Again, I walked those shoes before. Um, but once we can get let go of that and become a bit humble and accept that things can be different and there is help, we just need to open our heart a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah.
And we can
Open our
create
hearts, open
different
our minds.
reality. Yeah.
Mm,
And I love
yeah,
what you said before, the darker the night, as we speak of the dark night of the soul, the brighter the light. That is very
mm,
profound and again the basis of energy. Yeah, like attracts like the duality of things. So in order for us to rise up stronger and brighter, we do need to shift the darkness. And we all have it,
yeah,
and we forever will be shifting and adjusting. It's just going to become less effortless and more enjoyable. Mm.
yeah.
So some
I
beautiful
feel it.
wisdom that you shared. Thank you so much.
Mm. Thank you.
Where to from now, my friend? You
Where
spoke
to from
about
now?
the early days. Um, what's happening in your world now?
Oh, lots happening in my world now. I've got a couple of books that I'm working on at the moment that are only children's books, but it's a fantastic concept. It's about bringing men closer and reading with their kids. So it's a childhood book. It's about a topic that men can relate to. It's about fishing. What I'm trying to do is give men a reason at the end of a long day, you're tired, you want to put your feet up, you want to lay down, but it gives them a reason to connect with their kids.
Mm.
It also takes a bit of pressure off the mother. The father comes into the family group, tells the story, and hopefully the child gets attached to that story and they want to go out there and spend some time out in nature and connect together. So
Wow.
that's the concept. Yeah, that's the concept of the book. It's bringing families together and getting people outside enjoying time together,
Mm.
particularly men and their kids, boys, girls. Yeah, so that's a big part of what I'm doing, but also personal fitness, personal health, good practices. I'd love to talk to men in the space, men that are struggling, that just want to ask questions. There's some things I've done for myself, around eating habits, around exercise habits, around whether it be ice baths, red light therapy, meditation, affirmations, breath work,
Mhm.
many things that have been helpful for me that I'd like to just, give answers to people. And if they attach to it and they can find some habits or methods or things they can use for themselves to benefit, their situation, then yeah, I think there'll be something in the future related to that. Yeah. So,
Amazing. I love that. Let's do a little follow-up catch up in like 12 months or something and celebrate your books and whatever else is cooking now. This is all really beautiful and meaningful. And you can feel it's all coming from your heart too. Yeah. Yeah. Like it's you. It's that it's
Mm.
you. And I really love that. Hmm. Look, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to share this experience, to share who you are. I really appreciate that. And I can't wait to witness you,
Mm.
reaching and touching the stars because it's all happening and I couldn't be happier for you. Thank you for
Well,
coming.
thank you. And I'll be quick as well. Thank you very much. I mean, the space that you provided for me to walk into allowed me to take that step, take that breath, like I said. And, you're special in what you do and what you provide for people. And
Mm.
I've been very lucky to be your friend. And I've been very lucky to receive your help and your guidance. And I appreciate it. And all the love in the world for you and your beautiful son. And I hope this year is the best year ever for you. I really do. Thank you.